Shavua Tov, everybody. Let's discuss some amazing insights with regards to the oral law, right? What is commonly known in Hebrew as the Torah shebe-al-peh, the oral tradition, oral teachings handed down from God to his prophets and eventually to the judges of Israel, the elders, the leaders of the Jewish people throughout the generations in order to instruct us on how to keep the commandments, how to live according to the instructions that God gave the children of Israel. And in the Parsha of Yitro, which we read last week, the Parsha of Yitro, chapter 18, we're going to start there because it's a very important chapter with a lot of good details with regards to this issue. So if we go to Shemot, the book of Exodus, chapter 18, and we go to verse, for example, let's go to verse 13. All right. So it says that it came about that on the next day, right, Moses sat down to judge the people. Okay. Vayeshev Moshe lishpot et ha'am. Lishpot, shofet, from which is the basis for the word to judge, right? To basically is to give rulings, to hand out the legal decisions, what is right, what is wrong, if someone is obligated to pay or someone owes the other person, whose party, which party is correct and who deserves, to have the judgment, decided in their favor, etc. Right? So this is what Moses was doing at the time that Yitro, when they came out of Egypt, Yitro, his father-in-law, came to visit him, and basically Yitro sees this happening, and Moses is pretty much overwhelmed, right? It seems like it, right? So let's continue. Let's see. So Moses sat down to judge the people, and the people stood before Moses from the morning until the evening. Okay. Moshe was a judge. It and the people came to him day and night from the morning until the evening with all kinds of questions, cases, okay, that will be brought to him, and he would seek the answers and provide them instructions according to what God would teach him, right? So this is quite a detail that a lot of people miss, especially those that argue against the Torah shebe-al-peh, the Jewish body of knowledge that was transmitted orally from Moses to the elders and from the elders to the people. This here shows that Moshe, in his role as a judge, okay, as a judge authorized by God to decide what is right, what is wrong, what party, deserves to be paid, or who owes who money, all these things. If somebody's guilty of murder, of theft, or what are the reparations, what things can be done in order to make things right. All these cases were brought before him day and night, from the morning to the evening, to the point that it became such a burden on Moses. He was pretty much getting consumed by this. So Yitro, his father-in-law, out of concern, made the following gave him the following advice. So when Moses' father-in-law saw what he was doing to the people, he said, "What is this thing that you're doing to the people? Why do you sit by yourself with while all the people stand before you from morning until evening?" What did Moshe reply? He said, "For the people come to me to seek God." Vayomer Moshe lechotno, ki yavo elai ha'am lidrosh Elohim, because the people come to me. They want to see God's truth and his judgment with regards to what we should do in all these cases. If there was a dispute among families, amongst people, business, you know, uh, whatever the situation is, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people there in the desert, right after getting out of Egypt and crossing the sea, and this is what Moshe had to deal with. So Yitro tells him, his father-in-law says, what you are doing is not good. You will surely wear yourself out, both you and the people who are with you, for the matter is too heavy for you. You cannot do it alone. Okay, so this wasn't one case a week, one case a day, two, three people here a day. No, this was to such an extent that Yitro foresaw that this was causing Moshe Rabbeinu so much pain and suffering, right? And so much wear and tear that he was just not going to be able to withstand this and hold up, and it would cause it will be dangerous for the people and for Moshe himself. So therefore, there had to be dozens and hundreds of cases even a day that would come before Moshe, and he had to give decisions, and he had to give rulings, render rulings and judgments on who's right, who's wrong, and why, and explain the rulings and the laws to the people, as a judge does. Clarify the matter, explain the law, and teach. Now, notice my question: if that's the case, which is what the Torah is telling us here, what happened to all of those rulings that would come to Moses every single day? What happened to those rulings? What happens to those decisions, that wisdom that was given over and revealed to the people on a daily basis? Hundreds of cases decided every single day, every single week. Did that knowledge magically disappear? This was all oral, by the way. Nothing was written. Yet the people came seeking a fair decision to settle disputes of all kinds of cases. Yitro then says, I will advise you, and may the Lord be with you. You represent the people before God, and you will bring the matters to God, and you shall admonish them. Now, this is the key. Vehizharta ethen et hachukim ve'et hatorot vehodata lahem et haderech yelechu ba. Now, listen. You shall admonish them concerning the statutes and the teachings. Okay, et hatorot, plural. Torah is one Torah. Torot. Okay, so this is plural, indicating that there's many, many teachings and many, many instructions and insights here. And this is all oral, by the way, nothing written at this point. Okay, this is before the revelation of Sinai. This is before even the tablets of stone were with the Ten Commandments were given to Moses. So before this event, we already have Moses sitting and judging hundreds of cases daily. Who knows if even more? Okay, to the point that he was getting worn down. And Yitro had to come in and intervene for the sake of his son-in-law. And he says, you will instruct them with regards to the statutes and the teachings, and you shall make known to them the way they shall go and the deeds they shall do. This is so amazing. Vehodata lahem et haderech yelechu ba, yelechu from halacha, from walking. Okay, halacha, which is the modern basis for the word of halacha, which is Jewish law. It's basically right the way of carrying yourself, how to walk, and how to deal, how to carry out the commandments. Ve'et ma'aseh asher yasun, and the deed which they shall do and carry out. So all of this was commanded, was charged to Moshe to teach the Jewish people before the Torah was even given in Mount Sinai. Okay, and now the next verse. You shall choose out of the entire nation men of substance, God-fearers, men of truth, who hate monetary gain, and you shall appoint them as leaders over thousands, over hundreds, over fifties, and over tens. And they shall judge the people at all times. ושפטו את העם בכל עת. כל הדבר הגדול יביאו אליך, וכל הדבר הקטון ישפטוהם. They shall judge at all times. Every major matter they will bring to you. The big cases, the strong, the most difficult cases will come to you. But they themselves will judge the minor cases, thereby making it easier for you, and they will bear the burden along with you. And if you do this, you will be blessed. Essentially, that's what happened. And that's exactly what happened. Moses obeyed his father-in-law. He did everything that they said. And Moses chose men of substance out of all of Israel and appointed them as heads of the people, leaders of thousands, hundreds, and leaders of fifties, and leaders of tens. This is the basis for what is called the court of the elders of the Sanhedrin, right? The 70 elders. Later we see in the book of Deuteronomy how this plays out. 70 elders, okay, from amongst the nations, God-fearing men, wise, recognized for being wise and God-fearing amongst the people, the best of the best, to be judges over Israel. This is what we call the Hachamim, or the Zkenim, the elders. Okay, they were in charge by God to help Moses judge all the minor cases of what needs to be done in every situation that is brought to them when there's ever any kind of dispute, right? And this is the basis for the system of law, okay, which the Jewish people have till today. This is the basis for the oral law. Remember, again, this is before Sinai. This is before the revelation of the Torah, which we're going to see chapter 19 and 20 and henceforth, right? This is before this. So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is an amazing proof and an amazing insight of what the oral law is and the power and the strength of the oral law. Remember, this preceded the revelation of Sinai. Moses was already judging, okay? He was the judge over an entire nation, ruling hundreds and hundreds of cases a week, thousands a week perhaps, until he was getting worn down. What happened to all those cases? What happened to all those decisions? How did he know what to rule, how to decide what's right, what's wrong, who is guilty, who is not, who committed theft, who didn't, who lied, who if you took a false oath, if you were you did a bad, you spread disinformation against your fellow man, a family, uh, you know, all these business laws, all kinds of things that would come up. Is this pure, impure? Did you break the Sabbath or not? Everything that could have happened, everything, every kind of case and scenario imaginable was probably brought up to Moshe Rabbeinu, especially from a nation that's just starting out and learning all these laws, learning all these um, situations, and how to adapt to it in the desert, in this new life of freedom that they have after being slaves in Egypt. So, and this was all oral, my friends, nothing written down. The Torah scroll, the law of Moses, okay, the book of Moses, actually written down by Moses, came much, much later. Much, much later. Everything was orally transmitted from God to Moses. And we're going to see many examples. Okay, let's start with the first book of the Torah, Bereshit, first chapter. Okay, God spoke to Adam and Eve. After creating them, what does he say to them? And God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the sky and over all the beasts that tread upon the earth. So nothing handed over that was written down here. God spoke directly to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and throughout the history of all the early, people of the earth. It was all conversational. It was all transmitted orally. God spoke and the people heard, and God taught them orally. Okay? Same thing. We go to the next chapter. Not the next chapter, but Genesis chapter 6, for example, where we see the story of Noah, right? And the flood. Um, when he's telling them about the ark, all right? And he says here, of the fowl after its kind, and of the animals after their kind, of every creeping thing upon the ground after its kind, two of each shall come to you to preserve alive. Okay, and then we see in the next chapter more of this commandment to Noah with regards to the animals. מכל הבהמה הטהורה, מכל הבהמה הטהורה, תיקח לך שיבה שיבה, ish veishto. So of all the clean animals, all the pure animals, you will take for yourself 7 pairs, a male and its mate. And of the animals that are not clean, not pure, you take two, a male and a female. How did Noah know what animals were pure and what animals were not pure? Where do you see from Genesis 1 through 7 anything, any instructions from God to anyone written down about what animals are pure, what animals are not pure? Because this is the basis of the Jewish people's, right? Our laws, what we call kashrut, the laws of eating kosher. What animals are permitted, what animals are clean, what animals are unclean. How did Noah know? How would God expect Noah to know what animals are clean or unclean if there was no divine instruction, no knowledge whatsoever of what these animals were and which ones were clean, which ones weren't clean? This concept of clean, of whole, of purity, tahara, and tuma, purity and impurity. Where is that anywhere through Genesis 1 through 7? Anywhere prior to this? No. Anywhere after? That comes much, much later, after the Sinai revelation, where it's explicitly written down. Okay? Especially the books of Vayikra and then Devarim. In the books of Leviticus and Deuteronomy. All right? There are, for example, with birds, with fowl, what are the signs of pure birds? How do we know what birds are pure? Did God, where does the Torah ever give any signs to look for to know if a bird is pure and therefore permitted to be eaten? They're not giving anywhere in the Torah. They don't appear. It's not written down anywhere. Yet, God expects and he commands, okay? He commands Noah to bring from the fowl of the heavens 7 pairs, male and female, okay? Clean animals, 7 pairs. From animals and birds, the clean species, 7. Yet, nowhere to be found in the written Torah up to this point. And then with regards to birds, nowhere to be written, nowhere at all. Yet, this wisdom, this knowledge was definitely known by Noah because he obeyed it. He followed it through. So think about that one. Another interesting one, if we go to Genesis 32, 33, in some Bibles, the Christian Bibles, I think it's maybe verse 32. So look in Genesis, Bereshit 32, verse 33, with regards to the commandment of, it's called Gid Nashe, right? So it says, after Yaakov Avinu has a fight with the angel, and he injures his hip, so he's limping around. Therefore, the children of Israel may not eat the displaced tendon, which is on the socket of the hip until this day. For he touched the socket of Jacob's hip in the hip sinew. Okay? So there's a tendon, and we have this commandment of not eating. If you notice, this is much, much later. Therefore, the children of Israel did not exist at this time when this happened. Yet the children of Israel had a commandment not to eat the gidanashe, this displaced tendon, this tendon, right? Sometimes associated with the sciatic nerve. This is not allowed to be eaten by the children of Israel in order to remember this event. Where is that written anywhere? Where? Yet the children of Israel, till this day, we know that God commanded us not to do this. All right, let's keep going. Exodus 24, with regards to the artifacts of the tabernacle, the building of the tabernacle itself, and all the um, all the different like the menorah, the table, the pans, everything that has to do with the service, all the vessels related to the tabernacle, and how they were built. Let's look at verse 9. Okay, look at this. Shemot, chapter 24. Let's go to chapter 24 and let's scroll down over here. Look at this. Watch this right here. From verse 12. ויאמר אדוני אל משה, עלה אלי ההרה ואהיה שם, ואתנה לך את הלוחות האבן והתורה והמצווה אשר כתבתי להורותם. And the Lord said to Moses, come up to me to the mountain. This is after the revelation of Sinai, when God reveals himself to millions of people live, and everyone, he made himself, everybody heard the voice of God speaking to them, right? Instructing them with the famous, the Ten Commandments, right? This is after that event. The Lord says to Moses, come up to the mountain and remain there, and I will give you the stone tablets, the law and the commandments, which I have written to instruct them. Okay? Now watch this. On the next verse here, it describes, and the glory of the Lord rested on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days, and he called to Moses from the on the seventh day from within the cloud. And look at this. ויבוא משה בתוך הענן, ויעל אל ההר. And Moshe came within the cloud and went up to the mountain, verse 18. And Moses was upon the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Okay? 40 days and 40 nights. And in this Sefer Devarim, we get even more details about this, and later on also in Shemot when it happens again, because it's happened multiple times, 40 days and 40 nights, minimum twice. So minimum 80 days, right, of being with God in this mountain with his glory, the divine presence there, not eating or drinking. How much knowledge was Moses able to learn, and what was shown to him? All right. Now, up to this point, the only thing that we have so far, the only detail that we have is that Moses gets the tablets with the Ten Commandments handed over by God to him. Okay, that's it. There's nothing else, no other details, no other commandments written down. Everything else was, again, orally passed down. There was already a wealth of knowledge that was passed down. The children of Israel already knew many, many commandments. Plus, on top of that, they were coming to Moses and then the elders with hundreds and hundreds of cases every single day, seeking to know what is the will of God with regards to how these cases should be decided. All right, let's keep going. Exodus chapter 25. Here we go with the tabernacle and the vessels. Okay, let's look at verse 9. According to all that I will show you. Look at this. ככל אשר אני מראה אותך את תבנית המשכן ותבנית כל כליו וכן תעשו. You will do all according to all that I show you, the pattern of the Mishkan, okay, the pattern of the tabernacle, and the pattern of all of its vessels, that shall you do. Okay, and if we scroll down here, scroll down a little further, the same thing. Look at this last verse. Now see and make according to their pattern, according to the vision. Okay, tavnit. Okay, comes from the word right? Tavnit is like it's like a pattern, like a something that's being shown to you, like a plan, all right? Which are shown to you on the mountain. So basically, what we see here, the menorah with the candelabra, with all the vessels of the holy temple, and the bless all the vessels that were used in the tabernacle for all the daily sacrifices, all that, the whole service, everything, how to even build it, everything that goes, all the pieces, everything was shown to Moses in the mountain while he was there 40 days, 40 nights, and he learned everything. He saw it visually. God showed him clear descriptions, and Moshe learned this live from God himself. Nothing written. There was nothing written about this. Okay? Keep 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 pondering on that. After the sin of the golden calf, same thing. He comes down the mountain with new tablets of stone with the Ten Commandments again. Okay? And the same thing, same situation. He came down, Moses would come down, and his light, his face, the skin on his face, his body would glow with the divine presence. The light of God's presence would shine on his skin to the point that it was scary even to look at him, and he had to cover his face. Okay? So once again, and afterwards the children of Israel would draw near, and he would command them everything that the Lord had spoken, not written. There was nothing written. He would command them. Okay, ויצבם את כל אשר דיבר אדוני איתו בהר סיני. כל אשר דיבר, everything that he spoke to him, dibur. It's a word. It's all oral teachings, oral commandments, and oral instructions for everything that the Lord had shown him in Har Sinai, in Mount Sinai. Where do you see that Moses came down with some kind of Torah scroll? With Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy? No, that came much, much, much later. Okay? Deuteronomy 31, verse 26. Now, at the end of Moses' life, almost 40 years into his career of the shepherd of Israel, the leader of the Jewish people, and God's messenger for the people, 40 years later, pretty much, this is when we see that a Torah scroll was written by Moses. Okay? So what happened before? Everything was oral transmitted. Everything was Torah shebe-al-peh. Everything was instructions that were orally transmitted from Moses to the elders to the people. Plus thousands and thousands and thousands of cases throughout the 40 years of being in the desert that would come daily to the elders, to the judges that were being judged daily. All right. All this wealth of knowledge, of information was preserved orally and transmitted orally. And we are commanded to actually to teach it and repeat it to our children and instruct them in the laws of God. And all these rulings would be passed down from generation to generation, this body of knowledge, by the elders of Israel, the leaders of Israel, the prophets and the judges of Israel in every generation. לקח את ספר התורה הזה ושמתם אותו מצד ארון. Take this Torah scroll and place it along the side of the covenant of the Lord your God, and it will be there as a witness. This is the first time that we actually see anything with regards to a Torah scroll. Okay, an actual scroll. Okay, there's a few other places, but basically this is the same idea where God instructs Moses to actually write down, and Moses writes down way at the end, almost to the last year of his life, writes down the Torah scroll, and he hands it over to the Levites to keep in the temple by the Ark of the Covenant. All right. This is the basis of the oral law. This is the basis of what is come to known as what is known within Israel as the Torah shebe-al-peh. Yes, we have the written law of Moses, which came many, many, many years later. And we're not allowed to add or take away from anything that Moshe Rabbeinu writes. That came much, much, much later. We knew that same Torah and those commandments much, much earlier, but it was all orally transmitted with all the details. Just like Moses was shown in Har Sinai with all the visions that God showed him according to all the plans, everything like holographic. I don't know. Who knows, right? What how Moshe was able to see what what he was actually shown, but it was definitely shown according to the images and the plans that God showed him in while at Mount Sinai, 40 days and 40 nights, multiple times. People don't forget that. So for all the people that are confused, for all the people that, if you're struggling with, with arguments, a lot of these missionaries, like Pastor Arroyo from Radar Apologetics, uh, Dr. Michael Brown, Sam Skamoon, Courtney Smith, and many other, so be it guys, and all these, Christian missionaries and messianics who attack the Jewish people for the fact that we have an oral tradition, oral teachings that were passed down from Moses to, and even before that, from the first, that were passed down from, the first man, Adam and Eve, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, etc., way before Moses, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, you know, almost 1500 years before even Moses came on the scene. So, so this knowledge was already known and passed down for them. Nothing was written. The Torah doesn't tell us anywhere in Genesis or that these commandments were written in some kind of scroll, and then Adam and Eve opened a scroll and read what God instructed them. No, it was all live information transmitted to them orally, which they preserved and passed down generation after generation through generation through generation. Moses then writes it down at the end of the 40 years and gives us a scroll. Okay, but this knowledge was already known before and preserved and passed down. So anyone that's struggling with this idea, anything that or getting confused and and beat up by missionaries who try to attack the authority of the oral law, the authority of Torah shebe-al-peh, the authority of the Sanhedrin and the judges of Israel to educate, to rule, to make decrees, to teach the nation the way that they should go. Remind them, look again, read it multiple times. Exodus 18. Okay, start from this verse right here. Start from verse 13. 13 through 22. 13 to 22. And especially 20 to 22. If you're able to read these, study them, think about them a little bit, use a little bit of common sense and pray. Ask the God of Israel to show you. Ask your Heavenly Father to show you, to open your eyes. You will see that even with logic alone, just logic, just common sense, there, this obviously means that God gave oral instructions to the Jewish people, to Moses, and gives them authority to appoint elders, which in every generation then have the job to rule on cases, make decisions, and instruct the people, right? To make them know the way that they shall go. Basically, halakha. This is what halakha means. The way we are to walk, how we are to walk and live and carry out the commandments of God, and the deeds that they shall do. The deeds that they shall do. How to carry them out. How to carry out the details of the commandments. All right, we're gonna get there's more videos that we're gonna make on this because there's a lot more examples. Our friend Yehuda Israel has an amazing video on it. and he shows from the books, it's the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, uh, exactly, various proofs for the authority and the validity and the certainty of the oral tradition within the Jewish people. And we hope that this video also helps, from another perspective, right? Using a little logic, a little history, and of course, based on the Torah, right? Based on clear chapters and verses, multiple times in the Torah, but especially in the Parsha, the Torah portion of Yitro, where we encounter the greatest event, the greatest manifestation of the God of Israel to humanity. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, need or want any further videos to clarify or to show even more proof, drop it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to get out more videos to showing exactly what uh, other verses have to say with regards to the oral law. But I hope this helps. I hope this helps you. And the big takeaway is that you should be confident, that you should know that definitely, according to the Torah, according to Exodus 18 and the other verses that we showed here, I'm going to drop, all the verses in the description so you can, study at home, look through them, see the evidence for yourself. There has to be an oral tradition. The oral tradition actually came first. God's first speaks using words. Okay, he spoke to Moses mouth to mouth, meaning orally transmitted the knowledge and the wisdom and the instructions on how to carry out his commandments, and actually showed it to him live in the mountain 40 days, 40 nights. Everything that had to do with the tabernacle, how to build all the vessels, everything, every single detail, which came to be written much later. All right. A lot of people make that, and these messianics and Christians, since they don't know the basics of Judaism, they don't know the basics of the Torah because they start from the Christian point of view. They start with Roman Catholicism's perspective on things, which completely perverts everything that the God of Israel revealed to the Jewish people. And they start from there and from their perspective. And that's why they make all the mistakes that they do. And even the basics they don't understand. But we're here to help you. We're here to set the record straight. And wishing everybody an amazing week. And we will catch up with everyone on hopefully next week. So within the next couple of weeks, Bezrat Hashem, with God's help, we will release a few more videos with regards to the oral law and other amazing topics that we encounter and we see that, will hopefully benefit everyone to grow in their faith, in their knowledge of the God of Israel and serving him in truth. And, within the next few weeks, based on the weekly Torah reading, the Torah portion of the week. So stay blessed and catch you later. Take care.